All right, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the ethical use of technology and just making sure that we as teachers are ethically using the sources available to us online and through other means, and making sure we are showing our students what is appropriate as well. So we'll discuss copyright, fair use, the public domain, and Creative Commons. So first up is copyright. What is copyright? Well, copyright is the protection provided to authors and creators of original works. So original works is a broad term used to cover kind of anything that can be created. So if you see on the table there, items covered by copyright, these would all be considered original works. So that includes anything written, so articles, novels, plays, musicals and the music that accompanies musicals, movies, art such as painting and photos, computer software is an original work, and choreography all fall under the original works that can be copyrighted. So that copyright protection grants the creators the sole rights to production, distribution, and sale. So it makes sure that no one else is profiting from the creation of someone else. Items that cannot be copyrighted include ideas. So there are other things like patents and trademarks. So if you create an invention, an actual physical thing that can be patented, but an idea cannot be copyrighted here. Commonly known information that is just out there and it's understood that most people are aware of this, you cannot say like, oh, I am the creator of that information and I get the copyright for it. Same with symbols and designs that are commonly available. Names cannot be copyrighted, neither can slogans. I know slogans can be trademarked, but not copyrighted, which is what we're talking about today. Fashion. So, and they accept specific patterns. So I know, for example, the company Burberry has a copyright on one of its plaids. So that pattern is an original work, but using that fabric in a dress, the dress cannot be copyrighted. So fashion falls in the not covered category, as well as improvised dances and speeches. So dances and speeches both can be copyrighted if they are written down, for choreography, if they are videotaped, if they are notated, but just on their own, an improvised dance or speech cannot be copyrighted. Specifically talking about copyrights in the digital age, about 20 years ago, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act updated laws to kind of include that the internet is out there, to include the idea that it's so much easier to share information and to post someone else's work on your webpage and try and get credit for it. So this act kind of updated copyright laws and also talked about liability. So online service providers, also called internet service providers, are required to block access to that site if their user is not following copyright law. If they find out from the government, like, hey, this shouldn't be posted here, the service provider also has a legal obligation to make sure that copyright law is being upheld. So copyright is actually automatic for all new works, and that has been since the 1970s. Any new creation is automatically copyrighted. And copyright lasts for about 70 years after the death of the author. So not 70 years from creation, but 70 years after the death of the creator. So this next one, what does that mean for us as teachers? Kind of how do we follow copyright in our classrooms? And that's where fair use really comes into play. So fair use allows others to use copyrighted materials for a few different possibilities: research, classroom instruction, commentary or criticism, or parody. And so really they're saying you can use a small amount of someone else's work to teach others, to kind of expand on that, to poke fun possibly at the creation, but it shouldn't divert income from the creator. You shouldn't be using their work, selling it as your own, and stealing the rights of the creator. So 3 points with fair use. It should be for nonprofits, so once again, doesn't steal income, or educational purposes. You should only use a small part of the works, not the whole document or not the whole video or whatever the item is. And you should kind of make it your own. So for example, if you are talking about short stories, maybe you include a little bit from one author and a little bit from another author. Or say you're trying to talk about a specific author, you should be taking a little bit from a few of their different works without just running, 30 or 150 copies of one of their short stories. To do the entire short story would be getting into maybe using too much of the original item. So I think this is a spot where we do have to be very careful as teachers, because it is easy to want to share an entire thing without always giving the credit where we should give the credit to the authors. So kind of along with that, the public domain. So I said earlier that copyright can expire. And so when it expires, it goes into what is called the public domain. So this would be materials that are not protected by copyright. And either they were never copyrighted to begin with, which would be older articles, because as I said, all new works are automatically copyrighted, or now that the copyright has expired. So things that are available in the public domain, you do not have to be careful and only use a small amount. You can use the entire works because it is considered out there in the public. So this would be a lot of kind of older novels and short stories because of, so like I said, the 1970s is when all things became copyrighted automatically. All right, so now that we know kind of what the rules are, what is and isn't allowed, how can we as teachers and how can we help students do what is right? So one place to get information that is okay to use is Creative Commons. So they are an organization, a website that hosts a lot of works that they are legally making available to others. So these items do have copyright, but it also gives the author creator more of a chance to say how they want their, not necessarily want, but how they will allow their item to be used. So if we click here and try a search, so say you are doing, I really like to bike, say you're doing a project about bikes and want to go on a bike ride. You can look up a picture of a bike ride, and your student wants to include this in their slideshow that they're making. You could use these pictures. They do have creators, and so you would just need to make sure you're citing the creator here. So this is available for students and for us as teachers, and they have articles, photos, software, raw data, and just make sure you are kind of showing your students what's out there. I do have a short assessment you can click on and just check if you understand the information shared with you today. Please let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for your time.